Have you heard recently that magnesium can cure your insomnia and calm your anxiety? Can this really be true? Well, today we'll discuss all things magnesium, from its discovery, ancient and current uses, its different forms, and whether this mineral really is a miracle cure.
I'm Professor Megan.
And I'm Professor Susan, and we're
Your Nutrition Profs. We are registered dietitians and college professors who have taught more than 10,000 students about health and nutrition. We have answered a lot of questions about nutrition over the years.
Some we get asked every year, and some are rarely asked, but very interesting.
We're here to share our answers to these common and uncommon nutrition questions with you.
So bring your curiosity and let's get started.
Welcome to our class. Hey, Susan, have you heard the news?
News? What news?
About magnesium. Apparently, it can help you sleep better, reduce symptoms of depression and anxiety, and improve your exercise performance. All sorts of amazing things.
Wow. Magnesium's been all over the news and social media lately.
And as of last year, the magnesium hashtag has more than 1 billion views on TikTok.
Whoa.
Yeah. I've seen posts espousing the benefits of magnesium for all kinds of things, mostly anxiety and sleep.
I've actually seen some suggestions that magnesium can treat long COVID. Have you seen that one?
No.
Diabetes. It can
Yes.
treat diabetes, hypertension, and it's even good for weight loss.
Yeah, I've heard those too.
You gotta love the internet.
But are these claims true? That is the question we're answering today. Is magnesium really a magical cure for all of these maladies?
Well, I hope so. That would make things easy. But let's give a little bit of background about magnesium. It's a mineral, and it's the 7th most abundant element in the Earth's crust and the 8th most abundant element in the universe. But it's never found free in nature. It's always hooked to something. And it's commonly found in rocks like dolomite and canalite. It's found in seawater. And of course, it's found in living organisms like us.
So how was magnesium discovered? Joseph Black, a Scottish chemist, first proposed magnesium as an element in 1755.
But it was British chemist Sir Humphrey Davy in 1808 who first isolated pure magnesium. He named it magnium after the mineral magnesite, which is found in Magnesia. Wow, say that 10 times fast. Magnesia is a district of eastern Thessaly in Greece. But magnium eventually came to be called magnesium.
And if it's been a while since you took chemistry, you may be wondering, how is magnesium a metal? I mean, we don't go around eating large chunks of metal, right?
Right, I hope not. Well, magnesium exhibits metallic properties, and that's what makes it a metal. So it's specifically an alkaline earth metal. So it's recognized as an essential nutrient at the same time because the human body requires it for various functions. And we're going to talk a lot more about those functions in just a bit.
So as we said, magnesium is an alkaline earth metal. Other elements in this category include calcium, barium, and radium.
Magnesium is also very lightweight, and often you'll see it combined with aluminum to form alloys. And these alloys are strong but malleable. So you can find magnesium aluminum alloys in things like cars, airplanes, lightweight luggage, power tools, and even cameras.
And we can't forget about all the different types of magnesium. For example, there's magnesium oxide, also known as magnesia. It's used in antacids to treat heartburn and GERD. It's even used as a laxative. Ever hear of milk of magnesia?
I have, and we mentioned it in our ulcer episodes a few weeks ago. There's also magnesium sulfate, which is better known as Epsom salt, and that's used for so many things.
Another type, magnesium carbonate, is used in some types of paints and inks, and it's added to table salt to prevent caking.
And magnesium fluoride is applied to optical lenses to help reduce glare and reflections.
So many diverse but important uses.
Oh my gosh. I knew magnesium was important, but honestly, until we really researched this episode, I didn't realize it was so versatile and such an amazing element.
I agree. So let's get back to nutrition.
Yeah, since that's what this podcast is about, we'll talk about some nutrition. Okay. It is estimated that there are 4 to 6 teaspoons of magnesium in the human body. So a teaspoon is about the size of the top third of your pinky finger. So 4 to 6 of those. It's our 4th most abundant mineral after calcium, phosphorus, and potassium.
Magnesium has been recognized for its therapeutic effects for thousands of years.
The ancient Greeks and Romans believed magnesium had healing properties, and they incorporated its use into several of their medical practices, including using it as a laxative, kind of like we do.
In the early 1600s, a farmer, Henry Wicker, in Epsom, England, attempted to give his cows water from a local spring, but the cows refused to drink. Apparently, the water was quite bitter. It was also observed that animals who waded in this spring would experience faster wound healing. Once the water was evaporated, the substance that remained became known as Epsom salt.
So that water was magic.
Yes.
Wow. So soon they built a facility for convalescents that eventually became a spa resort. So like a spa in the 1700s. That's so cool. Visitors would either drink the water to improve several disease conditions, from gout to purgative or laxative effects.
Unfortunately, that spring dried up by the early 1700s.
Nope. Too bad.
I know. The magic's gone. But Epsom salt began to be manufactured commercially by the 1750s.
I actually got a recipe for my dad several years ago, and it's for weed killer that uses Epsom salts, vinegar, and dish soap. And to be honest, it works pretty well.
Well, my mom always had me soak small cuts or wounds in Epsom salt and even help with like muscle cramps. As a kid, if I complained about what felt like anything, my mom's response was soak it in Epsom salt. If you'd like to learn a bit more about Epsom salts and its purported benefits, check out the blog on our website.
Wow, I am really loving this episode.
Me too. So magnesium is really, again, being touted almost as a cure-all, just like back in the 1700s.
You know, I'm not really sure about cure-all, but magnesium is extremely important for a number of body functions.
Yes, it's required to activate vitamin D and to help more than 600 enzymes carry out a wide variety of biochemical reactions, from building protein and bones to regulating your blood pressure and nerve functions.
Magnesium serves as a cofactor in numerous chemical reactions within the body. And the term cofactor is a sciencey word that is used to describe a compound that's essential for helping an enzyme carry out a chemical reaction.
And every organ in the body needs magnesium. It's required for energy production, turning our food into usable energy, as well as DNA and RNA synthesis and repair.
It's also necessary for muscle contraction, maintaining a normal heart rhythm, and regulating our neurotransmitters. So all in all, it's a pretty important mineral. And since it's considered essential, that means we have to eat it or drink it.
Fortunately, it's found in a wide variety of foods, but plants high in fiber seem to be the best source. So these are foods like leafy greens, beans, so like black beans, pinto beans, soybeans, potato, and brown rice.
Nuts and seeds are also pretty good sources. An ounce of pumpkin seeds, which is basically a handful, provides almost 40% of your daily magnesium needs, and a handful of chia seeds provides almost 30%.
And for animal sources, your best bet is fatty fish. There's a tiny bit in meats and poultry, but they're not considered very good sources.
You can also find magnesium in water, as we spoke about earlier, but the amount can vary widely by source, whether it's tap water, mineral water, bottled water, and brand makes a difference too.
And it's found in fortified foods and some dairy products.
So how is it used medically? I mean, have you seen it used in the hospital where you work, Megan?
Yeah, I've seen it given primarily through IV for things like really severe malnutrition, kidney disease, and even to cardiac patients with arrhythmias.
I've also read that magnesium's given to women who have preeclampsia, which is a condition that can occur in the later stages of pregnancy, and it involves a sudden rise in blood pressure, and this can lead to seizures. I've also seen it could be given for severe asthma as a sort of last resort when conventional treatment doesn't work.
And as we mentioned earlier, it also works for constipation. Milk of magnesia, right? Well, it works by drawing water into the intestines and softening the stool, and it should help you go within 30 minutes to an hour.
Could be a miracle. So what about just regular chronic use for other conditions? We're going to talk about those for which there may be some evidence, and let's start with blood pressure.
A large clinical study of over 8,000 women found that higher magnesium intake from food was associated with decreased risk of high blood pressure or hypertension.
In fact, magnesium has what's called a qualified health claim from the FDA related to blood pressure. And if you saw it on a dietary supplement, it may say something on the side panel or somewhere on the bottom in the back. It'll say something like, some scientific evidence suggests that diets with adequate magnesium may reduce the risk of high blood pressure or hypertension, a condition associated with many factors. The FDA has concluded that the scientific evidence supporting this claim is inconsistent and not conclusive.
So there's some evidence, but it's not very strong evidence.
Exactly. That's a qualified health claim. So if you have high blood pressure, like me, I would not expect magnesium supplements to cure it, unfortunately.
Okay, so not to come out of left field, but Susan, when you ask your students to name some nutrients that are important for bone health, what do they typically tell you?
Well, the first thing everybody, bursts out with is calcium,
Absolutely.
Of course. And then a few of the better students will say, vitamin D.
Which is, of course, true. But magnesium is also very important for our bones. More than 50% of the body's magnesium is stored in the bones. It helps with building bone, but also with regulating calcium levels.
There have actually been some observational studies that suggest that those who consume magnesium-rich foods have greater bone density. But clinical trials have had mixed results regarding whether supplements will improve bone density or reduce your risk of fractures.
So for both of these, high blood pressure and bone, the research supports the importance of adequate magnesium intake from food, but not necessarily from supplements. But there doesn't seem to be much evidence that more is better.
Right. And the same is true for those with type 2 diabetes. If you're not getting enough magnesium in your diet, increasing your intake may improve your diabetes symptoms and reduce your insulin resistance. But unfortunately, it won't cure your diabetes either.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about something I struggle with, headaches. I've seen posts all over TikTok and Instagram about how magnesium can cure headaches, even migraines.
I've seen that too.
Yeah.
And there actually is a little bit of evidence for that.
Nice.
Amazing, right? Magnesium citrate and magnesium oxide supplementation has been shown to be protective against migraines in randomized double-blind controlled trials, also known as RCTs.
Yes, and remember, RCTs are the gold standard in research.
So that's pretty good evidence.
Yeah.
What about depression and anxiety? I've seen a lot of things for that too.
Yeah, I think this is the most popular one I've seen recently. Well, in my research, I found a small study of 126 participants reported improved depression symptoms after 6 weeks of magnesium chloride supplementation.
But just 126 participants? That doesn't seem like it would be very generalizable to the whole population.
Probably not. Another study found that magnesium supplementation improved depression in, get this, patients with magnesium deficiency. So no surprise there.
Right. I mean, it makes complete sense that if you have a documented low magnesium level and you bring that level up to normal, that your symptoms would improve.
Absolutely.
And those kinds of benefits, if you brought your magnesium levels into the normal range, you'd have more benefits than just for depression and anxiety.
True. And a review of 18 studies evaluating magnesium on anxiety and stress found that although some suggested benefits, they were for the most part poor quality. So things like small sample sizes, short intervention lengths, lack of a placebo, and even just a wide variety of dosage and forms.
So clearly, more research is needed. So it may, emphasize the may, help with mild anxiety and depression, especially if you're already low in magnesium, but it doesn't seem to help if your symptoms are severe.
Okay, but what about sleep? Can magnesium help with insomnia? If you believe the hype on social media, it can.
Unfortunately.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. The scientific evidence is, again, pretty weak. Some studies show that those who consume a magnesium-rich diet sleep better. But these people might also have other good habits like exercising regularly, which can also benefit sleep. So it can't be attributed to this one mineral.
So a few small studies have shown some benefit, but when they do rigorous randomized controlled studies, remember the gold standard,
Those RCTs.
yeah, they don't see very many sleep benefits from magnesium supplementation.
So it seems like we can ignore the hype for magnesium and sleep, at least for now.
Yeah. There are many other supposed benefits to taking magnesium, from improved exercise performance and recovery to a reduction of PMS symptoms to treatment for long COVID, even fighting inflammation, treating fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome, so many things. But again, for most of these, the evidence is weak.
So that was an overview of known and claimed benefits of magnesium. The evidence is best for headaches, not too bad for blood pressure, but the rest, the evidence is pretty weak.
Yeah, and that's referring to supplementation.
Right. But clearly magnesium is an important mineral. How much do we actually need to get?
So men need about 400 milligrams and women need about 320 milligrams per day. And during pregnancy, that goes up a little bit.
Some studies I've seen suggest that about half of Americans are consuming less than the recommended amount.
But remember, the human body, especially the kidneys, adjust our storage and excretion, helping to regulate our magnesium levels.
Wow. I mean, to me, the human body is so incredible.
It really is. Because of this ability to regulate itself, severe magnesium deficiency is pretty rare. Even more rare is deficiency so severe that it causes obvious symptoms. The sciencey word for magnesium deficiency is hypomagnesia. Remember, hypo means low.
Severe deficiency is really rare. Mild deficiency may be a little bit more common. I mean, for one thing, as food is processed, as much as 85% of the magnesium can be lost. I mean, even just cooking or boiling produce can significantly reduce magnesium.
Yeah, diet definitely plays a role.
But there are other reasons a person may be at risk for magnesium deficiency. Certain medications, like some antibiotics, diuretics, if you're on chemotherapy, if you're taking immunosuppressants, or you're using proton pump inhibitors, if you have GERD or ulcers, like we discussed previously in another episode, all of those things might increase your risk of being deficient in magnesium.
And you may also be at high risk if you have intestinal conditions such as Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, or celiac. Also, if you chronically abuse alcohol.
Or if you have insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes, you may actually excrete more magnesium than normal. So that would also put you at higher risk for deficiency.
And as we age, we don't absorb vitamins and minerals as well from the foods that we eat. So older adults may also be at an increased risk of deficiency.
Magnesium absorption from foods also varies quite a bit. If you're taking high-dose zinc supplements, or if you go crazy and greatly increase your dietary fiber intake, these can decrease magnesium absorption from food. On the other hand, there's some evidence that vitamin D may improve magnesium absorption and retention.
So with all these possible risk factors, how would you know if you're deficient in magnesium?
Well, you probably wouldn't.
Oh, no.
Symptoms of mild hypomagnesia are pretty generic and nonspecific. So it's just things like loss of appetite, nausea, vomiting, fatigue, and weakness.
You can do a blood test to determine your serum magnesium levels, but it's not considered part of any routine blood panel.
And unfortunately, blood levels of magnesium really don't reflect your actual body levels very well. Because remember, almost all of your magnesium is in body cells. 99% of your magnesium is stored in bones, muscle, and soft tissues. So unless your blood levels are super low, you wouldn't really know for sure if you were deficient in magnesium.
So what should we do? Well, we recommend putting the focus on your diet. Based on the research studies we mentioned, if you eat a well-rounded diet, including lots of veggies and leafy greens, nuts and seeds, soybeans or soy milk, and fatty fish, you should be okay.
I feel like that's true for a lot of things. Like that sounds like a really healthy diet.
That's what we'd recommend for everybody.
Right. But if you eat primarily fast food or highly processed food, or if for some reason you aren't able to eat enough food, then you may need to supplement.
But there are about a dozen forms of magnesium supplements to choose from. And the form can affect the bioavailability and dissolvability. So you can find magnesium supplements in capsules, liquids, lotions, soaks, sprays even. Liquid magnesium supplements, however, seem to be better absorbed than some of these other forms.
So probably the most bioavailable and most common magnesium supplement sold is magnesium citrate. This is magnesium that is stuck to citric acid, and it's found naturally in citrus fruits. This type of magnesium is particularly helpful as a laxative used to treat constipation. And it's also one of the forms recommended for migraine.
But there's also magnesium aspartate, magnesium lactate, magnesium chloride, and magnesium malate that are considered to be more bioavailable than certain other forms like magnesium oxide, which is the other form that's recommended for migraines. So magnesium malate is often recommended for muscle aches and fatigues.
And then there is our friend Epsom salt or magnesium sulfate. You can take capsules or you can dissolve it in water and drink it to treat constipation. And of course, it's often used externally to soothe muscles and to treat wounds, but it's not very well absorbed and has low bioavailability. So if you need something for constipation, you're better off going with magnesium citrate than magnesium sulfate.
Magnesium L-threonate has been all over social media lately.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah, this is probably the most popular one right now. This form is highly bioavailable and is unique in that it crosses the blood-brain barrier. It's thought to increase magnesium concentrations in brain cells, although this has really only been found in animal studies.
One small study of just over 100 adults found that supplemental magnesium L-threonate it did improve memory and cognition compared to the placebo. So there is some hope that it may be beneficial for certain brain disorders. But more research is definitely needed. Are you seeing a theme here?
Oh, absolutely. All right. There's also magnesium glycinate. It combines magnesium and the amino acid glycine and is also considered fairly easily absorbed. It's another supplement that is sometimes recommended specifically for symptoms of anxiety and depression.
So this was just a small sample of the forms of magnesium supplements that you can find out there. And if it's making your head spin, you are not alone. I mean, you practically need a degree in biochemistry to figure it all out.
Absolutely. And that's why we recommend seeing a physician or a registered dietitian to get more information if you need to be taking magnesium.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Good. That's good. Good advice.
So even if magnesium doesn't do all of these wonderful things that are claimed, because it's a mineral and all natural, that means it's perfectly safe to take, right?
No, not necessarily.
There is an upper limit to how much magnesium from supplements we should take.
So remember, the RDA for magnesium for men is about 400 milligrams a day, and for women, it's just over 300 milligrams a day. The upper limit for magnesium is 350 milligrams for everybody over the age of 18.
So you may be like, whoa, wait. The RDA for men is more than that. How is that possible?
Well, that's an excellent question.
Exactly. That is because the upper limit only applies to supplemental use.
Right. I mean, you have to be careful to not go crazy with supplements because that extra magnesium from supplementation can interfere with some medications. Meds like digoxin, which is a heart medication, it can interfere with some antibiotics and some medications for osteoporosis, thyroid, or kidney disorders, or HIV.
And since one of its most common uses is for constipation, there are some gastrointestinal side effects to watch out for, like abdominal cramping and diarrhea, particularly from magnesium carbonate, chloride, gluconate, and oxide forms.
But remember, the human body manages the magnesium obtained from food very well. So excess amounts from food are excreted in urine, but it's not particularly true for supplements. There is the possibility for toxicity. So these extra magnesium can sort of override the body's natural function of excreting extra.
Yes. So that's why we have the upper limit for those very reasons.
If you are taking a whole bunch of magnesium supplements, watch for signs of toxicity like low blood pressure, nausea, vomiting, urine retention, muscle weakness, difficulty breathing, and even cardiac arrest.
But the good news is that the most severe toxic effects only occur when intake exceeds 5,000 milligrams a day, and that's 14 times the upper limit of 350.
Oh my gosh, I hope nobody's taking that much magnesium.
Oh, absolutely. And remember, guys, all of the other possible risks with taking supplements.
Right.
Those are things to consider as well. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we've shared a lot of information about magnesium today. Let's bottom line it.
Okay, bottom line. Magnesium is an essential mineral that plays many important roles in the human body, including protein synthesis, bone formation, and enzyme action.
It's found in a wide variety of whole foods, including legumes, nuts, seeds, whole grains, and leafy green vegetables. It's also found in many fortified foods, such as fortified breakfast cereal and several dairy products.
The human body does an amazing job of regulating magnesium from food by modifying absorption and excretion in urine.
There are some medical reasons to take magnesium, such as constipation, some heart conditions, and migraines. There are also several popular claims about magnesium benefits, including improving symptoms of depression, anxiety, and insomnia.
But there's always a but.
Yep.
Those definitely need more rigorous scientific research to determine whether or not those claims are actually true. The current science really has not convinced us.
And you could take supplements, but there are so many different forms on the market to choose from, and the bioavailability and use vary widely.
So, will magnesium cure all your ailments? No. Should you take magnesium supplements? Maybe, but if you think you're deficient in magnesium or need some more, your best bet is to consume more magnesium-rich foods.
That's good advice for everyone.
It is. So that's it for our deep dive into magnesium. Join us next time when we will answer the question, what's the deal with body mass index?
Class dismissed.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. You can find the show notes and a list of sources on our website, yournutritionprofs.com.
Your homework is to follow us at yournutritionprofs on Instagram and to listen to our next episode. You can listen on Amazon Prime, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere podcasts are found. We'd appreciate it if you'd like us, write a review, subscribe, and invite your family and friends to join us too.
If you have a nutrition or health question you'd like answered, let us know. We may do a show about it. Send an email to yournutritionprofs@gmail.com or click on the Contact Us page on our website.
Thanks to Brian Pittman for creating our artwork. You can find him on Instagram at BrianPittman77. See you next time.